Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Tuesday the 17th of June. Starting off with the FTSE 100, where suspicions that we might have to test the 8800 area, the old resistance, proved to be correct. The low today 8809, but we bounced up quite well actually, and looking for a break of recent resistance through 8900 and obviously the record high 8908 to give us a move up to 9000. By the end of next month, we've said, but obviously if we do it properly, it should be by the end of this month. I'm not quite sure what would do that, maybe no more Iran, Israel, but that is where we are at the moment. The worst case on the downside is 8700, the pre-breakout support for this market from last month. 50 and 200 day lines both rising. The negative is the way that we've had higher highs for June, but we haven't really had a higher RSI trace, so a little bit of bearish divergence, but that is only a hint. Moving on to the DAX, and here a bit of rug pulling over the recent past. Here you can see that still struggling just below the old March resistance, 23,500, so we want to see an end of day close above that to avoid a test of the 50-day line there at 22,900. RSI, there's been a failure at the neutral 50 level, so that does suggest we're heading down to the 50-day line there over the next few days. Moving along to the Dow, and this has been the problem child, and I suppose it's just about avoiding breaking down below the floor of that rising trend channel from May last year. That's around 42,100. We're basically calling 42,000 the floor here. Above that, we've got 43,000 recent resistance and neckline resistance post-March, and that's about the best we can say, apart from the way that we've had an RSI rebound at neutral 50, which should give this market another chance of heading up to 43,000. On to the market at the moment, where everyone is trying to gobble up as many Bitcoin as possible to make it go up. Here you can see that we've got the double bounce off the 50-day line, 104 roughly at the moment, still in a range between the 50-day line and recent highs to 112, and looking for up to 125 at the top of that rising trend channel from March last year by the end of next month, and presumably everyone in the Bitcoin Treasury Brigade is looking for 125 by the end of next month, which would probably help them quite a lot. In terms of the support, possibly down to the initial May resistance, 98,000 as the worst we see at the moment, but it should be the 50-day line that caps any or prevents any further losses. Onto gold, and here, despite the geopolitical chaos, we see this market not being able to sustain the 3,400 area, which was the initial June resistance. Above 3,400, we're looking for 3,800 by the end of next month. Although I suppose, given the way things are, earlier nuclear war, or a nuclear war, would be the cause of that, the way things are going. The downside, hopefully the 50-day line, 32.92, looks like likely support. RSI is remaining above neutral 50, so that is positive for the technicals. Moving on to the stocks, and not so many, given that there was a late night Bulletin Board Heroes covering those situations, but we do have a breakthrough at Atlas Metals, where it's second time lucky, perhaps, or maybe given the history of the company back in the end of last year, second time unlucky. But we've got a rising trend channel base. The top of the channel are at 35 pence. That's what we're looking for, while we're above 14 pence. The initial 2025 resistance. There is a gap to fill there up to 28 pence for those who don't believe that shares have the energy to get up above the 200-day line, just shy of 23, but above 14, looking for up to 35 on Atlas. One of the Bitcoin Treasury Brigade, I believe, Sell AI, and here, heading back to the top of the rising trend channel there from back in May last year, need to break 0.61 to give us a retest of the initial June resistance at 0.9, looking for that by the end of next month, and looking for the market or the stock to stay above 0.5 in order to do that. There is a problem there of resistance towards the 0.6 pence area. Moving on to Coinsilium, where it was said here that above 12p there was nothing before 30p, and that's basically what's happened. We had a peak there of 34.5p, but that called completely correct, which is always nice given how volatile these situations can be. Current situation is that we're looking for the support area to come in near yesterday's resistance around 25 pence, above 25. Looking for perhaps a retest of today's peak, 34.5, but that is probably at this stage the best case scenario target given how far and how fast we've travelled. You can see the shares basically retesting the old 2021 resistance area, as some might have expected. Moving on to Earnz, and here deal making from Bob Holt and his friends, giving us a bounce off the 50-day line there, just 3.9 pence above that, looking for 7 pence by the end of next month. And what looks to be relatively simple chart. We've got a bit of a V-shaped bull flag going on there as well. So ideally the shares stay above that 50-day line. On to another Bitcoin treasury situation, and comes in the form of Helium Ventures. Here we've broken the two targets that we had, 19 and 13, and looking for a final one, a bit like Coinsilium, as high as 32 pence. That looks rather distant at the moment, but hopefully while we're above 13 pence, that could still be on the cards by the end of next month. Stock, which was one of the heroes of last month, is still trying to regroup. We were already looking for the shares to bounce back into the mid-teens, which they've already done after the bear trap rebound from below 10 pence. Probably looking for 20 pence now by the end of this month, if we remain above that 200-day line, just below 11 pence. On to Mosman, which seems to be trying to revive itself at the moment. Probably want to see an end-of-day close back above the 50-day line, 0.043, to give us a run at least towards the 0.06 area, maybe by the end of next month. And presuming that with the fundraiser out the way, that's enough of the jiggery pokery. Want to see the RSI also above neutral 50 versus 47 at the moment. So that and a clearance of the 50-day line, probably the minimum on the upside to be sure we are heading higher. I think I had a target on a great request on Panther Metals of 51 pence, and presumably was looking for that by the end of this month, but looks like we've gone a bit quicker than that, above 51 now, looking for the shares to hit the 200-day line at 68 pence by the end of July. Priority 1 is back in business in terms of the bullish situation, still in a falling trend channel there from back in January, top of the channel there, 7 pence, and we're looking for that while we're above the 50-day line at 3.75 pence. Stock of the year, purely on performance, has been Smarter Web, and here you can see that even that very steep resistance line there broken at around the 315 level, leaving us to look around and try and work out what the next level might be. The current situation is that you could argue that we're in a rising trend channel as I'm drawing now, and then the upper parallel of that, if it will come through, is heading for a target which would hopefully be towards the £4.50 zone at a guess, and looking for that by the end of next month, while we remain above the £3 level, basically yesterday's closing zone. So above 3, looking for 450 plus is a best case scenario target on Smarter Web. I suppose the thing here, which I've been waiting for, to see this company get up to a £1 billion valuation. Been looking for that for at least a week now, so let's see if that is actually what the shares intend to do. It could be a bit of a son of Argo blockchain, which also went up to £1 billion valuation while that mining situation was hot. On to TM1, where fears that the company may be a zero seem to be wide of the mark at the moment, only because I suppose those are spiteful comments which have no basis in reality. Here you can see that we've gapped up well today. Still want to see the shares above the 50-day line at 0.06, and above that then we've got the 200-day line at 0.11, which would be the best case scenario target over the course of the next month or two. Ideally, there's now no end of day close back below recent resistance at 0.055. Finishing off with Upland, where there's always so much speculation, but not so much action here. We're bouncing off the 50-day line there, and that's now starting to rise at a penny. While we're above that, looking rather simply for a retest of 1.4 pence, hopefully by the end of next month or even sooner. Good to see a double bounce there at RSI 50, so that should be a leading indicator on the upside, a double leading indicator. So that makes us more confident that above a penny, looking for 1.4. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.